Please subscribe. Whiskers and Paws, the spacefaring swashbuckling cat heroes for hire, had been flying through the galaxy on their trusty ship, the Feline Fury, for what seemed like an eternity. They had faced countless challenges and overcome numerous obstacles, but they had never encountered anything quite like the Deceptively Cute Murder Mittens. Evil Feline Warlord Fluffy had hired the notorious assassin to steal the Feline Fury from Whiskers and Paws, knowing that they were no match for her charms. The Deceptively Cute Murder Mittens was a master of deception, using her innocent-looking appearance to lure her unsuspecting victims into a false sense of security before striking. Whiskers and Paws had received a warning about the assassin's arrival, but they had not taken it seriously. After all, how dangerous could a cute little kitty really be? They soon found out the hard way. The Deceptively Cute Murder Mittens had approached them while they were making computer repairs to the computer to their spaceship on a desolate planet where a mission had recently gone terribly wrong for the space cat heroes. With a soft purr and a flutter of her eyelashes, she charmed them with her cuteness. Whiskers and Paws had been so entranced by her adorable demeanor that they hadn't noticed her slipping past them and boarding the Feline Fury. It wasn't until they heard the engines roaring to life that they realized something was wrong. They raced back to the ship, only to see the Deceptively Cute Murder Mittens piloting it away from them with ease. Panicking, Whiskers and Paws watched the Feline Fury rise into the sky. They were left stranded on a desolate backwater planet, with no idea how to get their ship back. The Deceptively Cute Murder Mittens delivered the Feline Fury to evil Feline Warlord Fluffy, who was delighted with her success. He congratulated the assassin on a job well done and rewarded her with a saucer of the finest cream. But the Deceptively Cute Murder Mittens wasn't satisfied. She wanted more. She wanted to be the most famous feline assassin in the galaxy, and she knew that the only way to achieve that was by defeating Whiskers and Paws once and for all. So, she hatched a plan. She would lure them into a trap by leaving the Feline Fury's emergency beacon on to lead them to her, and then take them out with her deadly claws. It was a risky move, but she was confident in her abilities. Meanwhile, Whiskers and Paws were frantically trying to come up with a plan to get their ship back. They had no idea where the Deceptively Cute Murder Mittens had taken it, and they had no resources to track her down. Whiskers and Paws were left stranded on the desolate planet. "This is terrible," cried Whiskers in despair, his tail flicking in agitation. "We'll find our ship now." But Paws was already looking around, his sharp eyes scanning the barren landscape for any signs of hope. Suddenly, he spotted something glinting in the distance. "Whiskers, look," he shouted, pointing in the direction of the glimmer. Together, they sprinted towards it, their paws pounding against the dusty ground. As they got closer, they could see that it was a crashed spaceship, half buried in the sand. "Maybe we can salvage some parts and fix it up," said Paws, his tail twitching with excitement. Whiskers was skeptical. "But what if it doesn't work? We'll be stuck here forever." But Paws was already crawling into the wreckage, searching for anything useful. After a few minutes of rummaging, he emerged triumphantly, holding a small device in his paws. "This is a trans-warp generator," he explained. "The emergency beacon is still on. If we can get it working, we can transport anywhere in space just once and stop the Deceptively Cute Murder Mittens." Whiskers was skeptical but desperate. "How do we get it working?" Paws grinned mischievously. "We'll have to MacGyver it." Over the next few hours, the two cats worked feverishly, using whatever parts they could find to rig up the time warp generator. At last, they were ready to give it a try. "Are you sure this will work?" asked Whiskers nervously. Paws shrugged. "Only one way to find out." With a deep breath, they activated the device and programmed the coordinates that the emergency beacon on the Feline Fury was broadcasting. Suddenly, the world around them began to spin and twist, and they felt a jolt of energy coursing through their bodies. When it stopped, they found themselves in a dark alleyway, surrounded by the neon glow of cat litter advertisements. They had traveled to the evil Feline Warlord Fluffy's base. "We did it," cried Paws, jumping up and down with excitement. But there was no time to celebrate. They had a mission to complete. They quickly made their way to evil Feline Warlord Fluffy's lair, determined to get their ship back. As they crept through the shadowy corridors, they could hear the sound of voices up ahead. They peeked around a corner and saw the Deceptively Cute Murder Mittens talking with Fluffy, a smug grin on her face. As Murder Mittens was reveling in her victory, she heard a sudden commotion coming from the engine room. She sauntered over to investigate, only to find Whiskers and Paws attempting to reboot the ship. "What do you think you're doing?" Mittens demanded, her fur bristling with amusement. "We're taking back our ship," Paws growled, his claws extended. Mittens rolled her eyes. "You really think you can take me down? I'm the deceptively cute Murder Mittens, the greatest feline assassin in the galaxy. You two are no match for me." Getting Whiskers and Paws to Fluffy's lair was her plan all along. Whiskers and Paws exchanged a worried glance, but they were determined to take back what was rightfully theirs. Paws stepped forward, his claws unsheathed. "Give up now and you might make it out with both your ears." They lunged at Mittens, claws and teeth bared, but Mittens was wily for them. She dodged their attacks with ease, landing a few blows of her own. The fight was intense, with fur flying in every direction. Mittens was a skilled fighter, and Whiskers and Paws' years of heroic experience meant nothing. The three of them battled back and forth, each determined to come out on top. The deceptively cute Murder Mittens was quick. Whiskers and Paws fought back with all their might, but they were no match for her speed and cunning. Just when it seemed like all was lost, Whiskers and Paws heard a loud rumbling sound. The walls of the lair began to shake, and bright lights appeared as the computer fired up. "What's happening?" cried Murder Mittens. Whiskers looked up, his eyes widening in shock. "It's the ship. The Feline Fury." Sure enough, their sentient ship had rebooted and regained its senses. It came to the rescue, crashing through the walls of the lair and coming to a stop just inches from where they stood. All three quickly scrambled into the ship, the Feline Fury taking off just as the Fluffy's lair began to collapse around them. But just when it seemed like they were escaping, something unexpected happened. The ship lurched suddenly, throwing all three of them off balance. Mittens stumbled backwards, her paws slipping on the slick metal floor. Whiskers and Paws seized the opportunity. They lunged at Mittens, their claws aimed for her throat. But just as they were about to strike, the ship jolted again, sending them flying. Fluffy was shooting laser blasts at the ship. They tumbled through the air, crashing into walls and furniture as the ship careened out of control. Mittens struggled to regain her footing, but it was no use. The ship was spiraling out of control, hurtling towards the planet. But then suddenly the deceptively cute Murder Mittens was nowhere to be found. She decided to live to assassinate Whiskers and Paws another day and had taken the only escape pod and left Whiskers and Paws to their fate. With the deceptively cute Murder Mittens gone, Whiskers and Paws turned their attention to dodging the evil Feline Warlord Fluffy's laser blasts and getting out of range. They dodged and weaved until the laser cannons had to stop firing because they were overheating. But the relief was short-lived. The ship was starting to shake, and they could hear alarms blaring throughout the ship. "We need to get out of here," said Whiskers, his voice urgent. "Now." Paws nodded, and they raced for the stars. "We're not gonna make it," said Paws, his voice barely above a whisper. But Whiskers wasn't ready to give up just yet. He put his paw on the accelerator and was poised to engage the hyperlight drive inside the atmosphere of the planet. It was a desperate bid to escape. But just as Fluffy's laser cannons came back online, Fluffy's base exploded in a massive fireball. Whiskers and Paws had not fired on the base. There seemed to be no explanation for the explosion that was their salvation. When the debris finally cleared, they could see that Fluffy's base had been damaged in the explosion. But it was still intact, and that meant Fluffy and Murder Mittens were probably still alive. As they escaped into open space, Whiskers and Paws Space Cat Heroes for Hire breathed a sigh of relief. They had been through a lot, but they were still alive. They knew that there were still many more adventures to be had in the galaxy, and their enemies the evil Feline Warlord Fluffy and the deceptively cute Murder Mittens were still out there somewhere. Please subscribe for more bad AI sci-fi. Check the description, your cat demands devotion.